All right, let's start to go over some of these words. Now, this is Keret's crying because his family just died. Um, like what? And this is the god El talking to Keret. What ails thee, Keret, that he weeps, that he cries? Um, that he desires or authority. I don't know. Um, see, here's gold, slaves, horses, and chariots, right? Um, and El is offering this to him, right? So, like, think about the god Marduk, right? Um, you have what's her face? I think it was Tiamat, and he goes up to her in the middle of the street, and he's like, "Hey, you're a bitch," um, because she was just toxic. She was acting badly, right? And so this is Marduk is a god for justice, right? Um, you look at uh, the um, the God of the Torah, right? Yahweh, and he is a searcher of hearts, right? Um, he's a loving God, um, but also fierce in his judgments or whatever, and there can be a lot of interpretation about Yahweh. But then I mean, you could go to Allah, and Allah is merciful, and He wants men and women to be virtuous and all that. You go to Jesus, and Jesus is all about forgiveness and brotherly love and all that stuff. Um, you go to the Sumerian gods, and they're kind of weird, right? You have Ninurta, who's like the golden rube, and he's being used by his mace, right? So it's a pretty funny one. But you have this god, right? And he's offering him gold and slaves and chariots, right? Um, this is clearly a god for the merchant aristocracy, right? I think what we see in Kanaanite society is that you have the merchant aristocrats, and the people are basically just a bunch of slaves. They work in factories, and they're a bunch of serfs. Um, so it's to me it's like interesting. Like what is the appeal of these Canaanite gods to the Phoenician underclass, right? Um, Now, I suppose that the Phoenicians probably did the same thing that is happening to us today, in that the lower class Phoenicians probably their development was arrested, right? So they don't think at all, right? So none of this, they just accept what is, right? If it's in the textbook, then it must be true, right? Um, right. And I've met some cool rich people in my life. Men who, even if they were given wealth, they still earned what they have. And then I met other men who have earned it and stuff. But one thing I've noticed about some rich people is that they kind of deify cleanliness, right? It's very strange, because it's fun to get dirty. Oh my God, it's fun to get dirty. It's fun to get clean. It's all about being whole. But um, in some circles of this world, like dirtiness equates to just uh, lower type of human, right? Um, I don't know if that's what's happening here. This could just simply be washing before a sacred, sacrifice or a ritual. Washing before a sacred ritual. Um, but I don't know. It also like people who have this mentality are kind of silly at the end of the day, right? These are people who have wealth, but they're obviously a bunch of idiots, and they kind of don't deserve it, right? Um, right. So we have wine being poured into a bowl of silver honey, into a bowl of gold, right? I mean, this is obviously top society. L is a top god, right? Right, and there's this is obviously a merchant aristocracy, right? A fifth, a 6 month, right, of a 6 month. Um, and again, this right here is pride, right? Because the Phoenicians aren't known for conquering, right? They just don't have the population numbers to field big armies like the Babylonians or the Egyptians or the Hittites or the Mitanni, right? Or the Assyrians. Right, but he like this is a god that goes and conquers. I don't know what this means. The widow hires herself out. The sick man is carried in his bed. So the widow is making herself useful, right? So what's your use, right? Does that sound familiar? What's your usefulness in society, citizen? What is your usefulness in society, citizen? And there's the one-eyed man. He drives to another, his wife to a stranger. So if you're his enemy, he's gonna kill you and give your wife to a stranger. Maybe, I don't know. What do you guys think about what's going on here? Because like, there's obviously no periods, and these sentences begin. Yeah, right here. He drives to another. Oh, but this is just a transcript. Drives to another, his wife to a stranger. I don't know. So I don't know what's going on with some of these lines. So they're talking about, he's saying, hey, go, Keret, why don't you just go conquer Udom? You're sad. I mean, if you go, if you go on this conquest, it might lift your spirits up. You could go kick some Udom ass. Um, what was I going to say? So I think when he says they are like the locusts that dwell on the steppes, like grasshoppers on the borders of the desert. So I think they are the people of Udom, maybe. So this is, I mean, this god El and Keret don't really have any sense of humanity, right? Um, Now, I could be reading these lines wrong. What do you think? Who are they? Um, but yeah, no, they're not people, right? This is psychotic almost. They were not almost. This is psychotic, right? It's I mean, that's not really poetry right there, is it? Right? They are like the locusts. No, he's calling them not people. Um, so he's dehuman. Somebody's being dehumanized. And again, I could be reading that line wrong. What do you guys think? So this is funny, right? So go conquer Udum, right? And what are you gonna do? You're gonna harass the villagers, but then you're gonna sweep from the fields her woodcutters, right? Does that are you listening? Right, from the threshing floors, the straw pickers, right? Are you hearing this? Right. Again, this is a merchant aristocracy, and he El is like, go to Udum and destroy their industry, right? Because if you destroy their industry, then your woodcutters are going to be making more money, right? Um, your straw pickers are going to be making more money, right? Because you've he's like they're destroying the industry, right? All right. Um, Sweep from the springs the women that draw from the fountain, the women that fill a carry. Okay, maybe you guys can help me with these lines right here, right? Because I'm confused, right? Like, go to the city, destroy all the industry, and then shoot an arrow. Then behold, at sunrise, El, I guess, is going to go to sleep, right? I mean, this what follows from this sleep thing until the noise of the name of his stomach, until the sound of the braying of his ass, until the. I mean, this sounds very poetic, but I don't know what it means. So, anybody got any ideas? Like, why he's gonna go to sleep until the ass is like, why? What's going on there? What's all with that name in the stomach thing? Then he will send two messengers. Untie thee unto Keret. Oh wait, we've gone past it. Okay. All right, let's continue.
Ass until the lowing of the plow ox, the howling of the watchdog. Then will he send two messengers unto thee, unto Keret, to the camp. Message of King Pabel. Take silver and yellow glittering gold, and perpetual slaves. A groom, horses, chariots from the stable of the son of a handmaid. Take Keret, make peace, and flee, O king, from my house. Withdraw, O Keret, from my court. Vex not Udum the great, even Udum the grand. Udum is a gift of El, even a present from the father of man. Then send thou the two messengers back to him. What need have I of silver and yellow glittering gold and perpetual slaves, a groom, horses, chariots from the stables of the son of the handmaid, a possession that is not in my house, shalt thou begive. Give me Lady Horia, the fairest of the offspring of thy firstborn, whose grace is like the grace of Anat, whose beauty is like the beauty of Ashtart, whose eyeballs are the pureness of lapis, whose pupils are the gleam of garnet. Let me bask in the brightness of her eyes, whom in my dream El bestowed. In my vision let the father of man, and let her bear offspring to Keret, and a lad to the servant of El. Keret looked, and it was a dream, the servant of El, and it was a fantasy. He washed and rouged himself. He washed his hands to the elbow, his fingers up to the shoulder. He entered the shade of a pavilion. He took a lamb and offering in his hand, a kid in the other hand. He took a masraru, bird of sacrifice. He put...
All right, before we continue, let's go back real quick, finish this up. So he's saying, you know, what have I need of gold and silver and slaves, right? Well, I don't know, like you have a shit ton of need of it because you're nothing without it, right? He's nothing without all this stuff, seriously. So he does need all that stuff because otherwise he is nothing. So, but he asks for, I guess, one of El's daughters. And how does he describe her, right? He's describing her very objectively, right? Eyeballs are like lapis, the gleam of a garment, right? I mean, she is like a thing, and she's also, I guess, this is the god Ent, E-N-T, I believe. I don't know, but it's one of the Sumerian gods, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't know who this is, but I mean, this is vague. I mean, it might not be as vague for the listener of the time because there might be more meaning, but. You know, I don't know what an Ashtart is. But, you know, women are being described very objectively, like their possessions and things. Where are we? 703. So now he's sacrificing.
Wine into a bowl of silver, honey into a bowl of gold, and he mounted to the top of a tower. He bestrode the top of the wall. He lifted up his hands to heaven. He sacrificed to the bull his father El. He honored Baal with his sacrifice, the son of Dagon with his oblation. Keret descended from the housetops. He prepared corn from the granaries, wheat from the storehouses. Bread was baked of a fifth, food of a sixth month. He mustered Nagabu, and it came forth the host of the troops of Nagabu, and they came forth the assembled multitude, his troops, a mighty force, 300 myriads. They marched in thousands serried, and in myriads massed. After two march. After three, all of them. The solitary man closes his house. The widow hires herself out. The sick man is carried in his bed. The one-eyed man blinks with one eye. And to them is added the newlywed bridegroom. He drives to another his wife, and to a stranger his well-beloved. They are like the locusts that dwell on the steppe, like grasshoppers on the borders of the desert. They march a day and a second, then on a sunrise on the third, they come to the holiness, Athirat of Tyre, even to Elat of Sidon. There Keret the noble vows, as Athirat of Tyre exists, as Elat of Sidon. If Horia to my house I take, I bring the lass into my court. The twofold of her will I give in silver, and the threefold of her in gold. He marches a day and a second, a third, a fourth day. Then at sunrise on the fourth he arrives at Udum the Great, even Udum the Grand. He attacked the villages, harassed the town. He swept from the fields the woodcutter, and from the threshing floors the straw picker. He swept from the spring the women that draw, and from the fountain the women that fill. He tarried a day and a second, a third, a fourth day, a fifth, a sixth day, and behold, At sunrise on the 7th day, King Pavel slept until the noise of his neighing of his stallion, until the sound of the braying of his ass, until the lowing of the plow ox, until the howling of the watchdog. Straightway King Pavel aloud to his wife doth cry, Hearken, I praise thee, O my wife. Message. He put his hand, I will surely send unto, doth cry, Oh, mountain ass, prepare.
Okay, so for people who are listening right now and don't understand what's going on, I believe this text is not complete. So this Kohan Kilitz is just reading the text, and I am guessing that there's a lot broken off here. So the tablet is broken into pieces, and not all of it has been completed. So, yeah. But going back to the widows, when I was listening to it a second time, I guess I realized I think the widows are hiring themselves out to the soldiers who are about to go on battle, maybe. So they're, the soldiers get one last fling before they might die, I guess. I don't know. And this is Pablo who fell asleep, not El. But yeah, no, it looks like we're going through a period of broken text right now. So
sacrifice. Behold, your faces shall ye set towards Keret the noble, and say unto Keret the noble, message of King Pavel, take silver and yellow glittering gold, perpetual slaves, a groom, horses, chariots, from the stable the son of a handmaid. Take Keret, make peace, vex not Udum the Great, even Udum the Grand. Udum is a gift of El.
So, I mean, why is this battle taking place? This battle's taking place because Keret lost his sons, right? It's like, OMG, like did Udum do anything wrong? I mean, I guess they're locusts, so they don't have to do anything wrong. You can just stomp on a locust, I guess. Without reason and cause, right? But like, why Udum? Like, shit. Like there's this Sumerian story. I forgot if it was Gilgamesh or Ninurta, but one of them decided. I think it was Ninurta, but they decided to go to basically Lebanon and Upper Syria, in Lebanon though, to where the forests were, and he was gonna go beat up this guy and get some wood, basically. And you might ask, well, I mean, that's unjust, right? He's just gonna go steal someone else's wood, right? But I mean, if you think about it, like if they can't get wood, then that means there's some sort of trade blockage from somewhere along the line. So you could just say, hey, well, he's going to clear up trade routes, from these tyrannical, petty trade blockages. But yeah, no, and he's going to get wood too. But like these guys are only concerned about opulence. I mean, Ninurta going to get some wood. Yeah, no, I mean, wood might be valuable in Mesopotamia because they don't have any. So he is going to get an item of value. But at the same time, there's still, a more ruggedness about it than this. This is just Keret trying to be opulent, right?
Even a present of the Father of Man, and flee, O King, from my house. Withdraw, O Keret, from my court. Towards Keret the noble, they raise their voices and cry, message of King Pavel, Take silver and yellow glittering gold, and perpetual slaves, a groom, horses, chariots, from the stable of the son of a handmaid. Take Keret, make peace. Vex not Udum the great, even Udum the grand. Udum is the gifts of El, a present of the father of man. Withdraw, O king, from my house. Flee, O Keret, from my court. And Keret the noble replied, what need have I of silver?
You know what? I think we'll just stop it here right now. Um, but I mean, this is interesting because this is the society that Moses fought against, right? Um, and it's the total opposite of Moses's society, right? Moses believed in a craftsman society, right? Carrot is obviously a taskmaster, right? Because he's like when they're preparing for this battle, he's like, go to the storehouses. Well, what are these storehouses? They're people are slaves for him, so they do all this work, and then they give him all of the benefits of their work to do what he wants with. Right, so anytime he's like, let's open the storehouses, they can open the storehouses. Um, and so and it goes back to what's noble about this guy, seriously. But in Moses, as opposed to a taskmaster society, he wanted a craftsman society where the Jews were craftsmen, right? Where so I mean that's like if you think about the idea that education should empower you, right? A true education should lead to your freedom because you can now be free, right? You're not dependent on the storehouses of Keret, right? Um, and so instead of building dependency, which this society obviously does, Moses wanted the Jews to be, craftsmen and build their own things. Moses himself was obviously, if you look at his writings, a Renaissance man. He knew building and architecture, he knew art, he knew mathematics, he knew science. He studied animals, he studied insects, he studied law, he studied. I mean, this guy was a Renaissance man, and he's showing off a lot of his craftsman skills in some of these texts that he writes because they're very boring. But he's showing off. He's like, hey, look at me. I'm a fucking craftsman. I can do my own shit. And he was really proud of Uliab and Bezalel, um, because they too were craftsmen. I think it was, I don't know which one was which, but one of them was a silversmith and could mold metal into animal objects. Hint, hint, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, these are two opposite societies, and yet they are people who basically speak the same language, right? Now we know about language. Language is living. Language is a living thing, and language transforms throughout time, right? And sometimes it drastically changes. Especially if a tribe is conquered. The tribe sticks around sometimes, but their language changes, and so you see transformation of language and tribe. Um, what the fuck am I talking about right now? Transformation of language. Um, yeah, I'm talking about the Jews and the Canaanites. So when the Jews went into Egypt, right? This sets up a linguistic condition where the Jews leave Canaan, southern Canaan, and so they were at the time they left southern Canaan, they were speaking a southern Canaanite language because they are Canaanites, right? And so they leave southern Canaan and they head to Egypt, and this sets up a linguistic condition where a language will change. And so you have to assume that from the days of Joseph to the days of Moses, the Jews were in Egypt all this time. Well, that means in a condition like this, their language is going to diverge from the Canaanites, right? But it's still a Canaanite language, and they are still Canaanite people, right? But Moses is completely opposed, obviously, to everything that is going on in this text, right? Because he doesn't. There's no heart. Yeah, no, there's no heart in El or Keret.